Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Solutions with Shanti. Here where we broadcast from the heart of the Ankara field. And I really hope you've been enjoying this series we're putting out explaining what the Ankara field is all about. If not, please catch the little series I'm nearly finished doing. And we're going to be doing more stuff as well this week on this channel on Thursday, starting with In the Field with Shanti. And I'm going to be doing a show on finding peace during chaos, being calm during chaos. There's so much chaos going on now. And really, it's all about finding our own resonance. That's what it's all about. And that's what we do, yeah, on the Ankara field, right? It's all about resonance, frequency, sound, vibration, and you can either spiral down and involve yourself in the chaos, right? Or you can grow your wings, proverbially, of course, and fly. So that's what we do, all about resonance and frequency. So join us there. Anyway, guys, without any further ado, let's bring Beverly on tonight. Case number 007. I like it. 007. Remote viewing Nick Reiner, who's I want to say youngster, but he's not a youngster. He's in his early 30s already, that took the life unalived both his parents. I do believe it was on about the 14th of December. So we're looking into that. Ta-da.
So there we go. Just got all my notes. It was a very interesting one. This one with Nick Reiner. He's a very different kettle of fish, and it's the first one that I've seen in a very long time that has got a totally split aura, where there's the two different egg shapes, and where the individual has been pushed out to the right hand side, and whatever it is that's walking with him, the entities or the demonic presences or whatever, has pushed its way in on the left so much that it's pushed him right out and almost locked him in his soul in a way. So that can also mean things like pure possession of multiples, or it can also mean that he was utilized in doing some sort of programming or something. But we'll have a look at that further when we bring up his energies. What do you think?
It's such a chaotic time, right? And there is so much going on. We brought just some pictures. I mean, so I'm just going to pop one or two pictures up while we're chatting about him.
Good.
Just for the viewers. Hello, everybody. Did I greet you guys? Everybody? So nice to see you. Lovely to see you. Hello, Lisa D. Raskananai. That's the right way to say it. Yeah. Michael, nice to see you. D. Clifton, nice to see everybody. Really, welcome. Anyway, as I was saying, so I have a few pictures that we're going to pop up just so we can get an idea of what he looks like. And well, as we know, he's in the. Let me just do a little short little intro on him. Nick Reiner, 32, has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of his parents, filmmaker Rob Reiner and photographer Michelle Singer Reiner, who were found fatally stabbed in their Brentwood, Los Angeles home on December 14, 2025. Reiner was arrested the same day and is being held without bail in solitary confinement. His formal arraignment is scheduled for 7th of January 2026, which is day after tomorrow looks like. Tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Reports indicate he had a history of mental health struggles and substance abuse, including treatment for schizophrenia prior to the killings. Now, I mean, the normie, and I say that with love, would consider that, ooh, the guy who lost his marbles, he's always been a little bit sugar, and his poor parents, who've been painted to be the saints that are now looking after him, supporting him through his addictions and his rehabilitation and his crazy fallouts, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the picture's been painted for us, right? I will always question that, because we on this platform know that this kind of behavior is not just random. This child, more than likely, was SRA'd. They're in the movie industry, well known. There would have been some type of cult activity, and we know by now what the side effects or the long-term side effects of SRA can be. Exactly the symptoms he's displaying, right? That of schizophrenia, multiple personalities. We know that schizophrenia, for those of us who listen to our Dr. Jerry, is definitely not hallucinations. It's entities that have taken over the body, and you are now just their vehicle. So to have schizophrenia, that trauma has come from a long time ago to be that severe, to the point that he has literally unalived both his parents. But here's one or two pictures. Look at those eyes.
Gosh.
You see, if you look at those eyes, just the blank stare on the face. And that, of course, is his father, who looks the perfect part of the loving, jovial father, with this severely disturbed son. And he has another picture of him, similar type expression, right? Also, he has just a few random pics that I want to just pop by so you guys can have a look. Yeah, this is just him being, again, always with his father. They seem to be this duo, right? Look, even wearing the same outfits in one of the photos there. Obviously posing as this strong family man. Again.
Oh, he doesn't look too happy there, does he?
More. Right. And also that must be his sister, or look at the body language there. Look at the two women's body language. Something's just gone down. Oh, I don't like the feeling of that pic. Again.
Oh my word.
You see, it's just so interesting. And this, of course, was maybe because, I don't know if these pics were taken after or before the unaliving. It looks kind of suspicious. Yeah, the parents are, you see, looking as if they're amazing and loving and nice family, and they do. They're a very attractive couple. Oh, and there he is with what I assume must be one of his siblings.
Yeah, that's the sister.
Sorry, what did you say?
That's Romy. That's Romy, the sister.
Okay.
But the energy towards her changed because he was actually really happy that she was the one that found the cadavers of his parents, because he wanted to get back at her, because she had got her life together, and she wasn't very happy with the way he was, and she kept pressurizing him to, pull himself towards himself and do something decent with his life, because both her brother and her have actually managed to move on and do something with their lives. But he wasn't in a position where he could have really even given up his substance abuse, because he was already into full possession by that time.
Exactly. I was going to say, it's well, I think certain things are so far gone that it takes a lot of, I'm not sure what, but obviously nothing could turn him back. And then, of course, here are the last two pictures again that I showed earlier on. And
it's very interesting that the Rob Reiner, the father, had actually put out in the 90s. He put out, they're still available, I think, if you search for them online. He'd put out a couple of videos on training individuals on how to become really good parents and how to raise their children. I definitely wouldn't be following somebody that, has got this sort of history with the children. I definitely wouldn't be following anything like that, because no, he's not very good. But it's quite interesting.
It's like when we know these things, when we know, we can't unsee things anymore. So for me, this story where the mainstream media will be, and even, some people catching on to what's going on, it's like they will still be questioning a lot of things. We don't question them anymore. It's there. The way I see it, this kid has been abused from a very young age. And I haven't even started looking at your aura pics yet, but this is just from common sense to me now. And you can see by the look in his eyes, and they would usually use those type of parents in the system anyway as the cover. Let's do workshops on how to be a great parent. We're producing these movies and we have these children, but we just can't kind of get a hold of our own child.
I do like that picture that you showed, the one where he's got the whites of his eyes, and he's got, like, at the bottom, whereas we have got a line of our lashes covers most of it, but because he's got a lot of, if you pulled it out, you've got like that whole white section of his eyes. Now that's within the physical body as well as in the auric field. That shows that person has already partially left the body, and that white bit shining out shows that person would rather be going across to the other side. So I think that he would have been, and I did see one of the images I saw him trying to get out of his body, trying to get out. He wanted to go out. He's in solitary confinement, and on his mind is, I want to unalive myself. If I can find a way to get out of here, I will. And that's where this big white piece at the bottom of the eye is a very big clue. If you ever see that in somebody, you must know that person is either very close to transitioning across to the other side or wants to look at unaliving themselves.
Yeah, because they're not seeing, and that's the interesting part about unaliving yourself. The human mind, the human psyche will hold on to life at all cost. It will hold on to life. And so therefore, when someone unalives themselves, that switch has been flipped. So something severe has happened. There's been severe trauma for the person to actually willingly do that to themselves. We know that. And absolutely, I feel this child has been possessed and played with by these entities for a long time.
Yeah, It's full on possession is what I saw. So this is now over the double sets of 7. So there's 7 years plus another 7 years plus more, and that is very definitely part of whatever's happened to this lad, and it happened at a very young age as well.
I like what Mama says. That's the horror they have seen. The eyes never lie. So true, actually. You can see it that way as well. Just that, I'm out of here. I can't deal with what's happening. And when it's time and time again, the way I see it, that this could well have been part of the programming that he was meant to do, at this time. It's nothing surprises me anymore because when we look at that whole voice to skull, Y to S technology that they use, especially in the REM dream state, these guys are doing this for a long time already. So it would not surprise me that there would have been some type of full-on possession that occurred in that moment, or it was the final possession that took over the body. And now that's why he wants to unalive himself, because these entities that take over the bodies are always in for trauma. The more trauma, the more pain. And it's not just him now, it's the family as well and those around him, you see, because they're feeding off everyone else's trauma as well. So even if he unalives himself and they can't use his body anymore, they've now got full access to his family and his loved ones. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
anyway. Wow.
So tomorrow is D-Day, 7th of January, and I think that's part of the in my notes I'd seen that when I looked at his energy with the suicide, I've seen that he's now off suicide watch, which is interesting, and that with his arraignment tomorrow, I think that the lawyers are going to go through diminished responsibility and looking at his mental health and historical issues as the main reason why he kicked off. Okay, so from O'Keefe case, he pled not guilty. By not guilty by reason of insanity or not guilty by reason of diminished responsibility? Possible, yeah. It's the only way that they will be able to get him off. And I think I'm also seeing that he's going to be moved to another facility and he will go in for maybe a month or 2 months to have psychiatric evaluation, because the lawyers are going to push for that. And there's so much money in the pot now. There's a lot of money in the pot. So it's going to be the main partners of that, law firm are going to be pushing for top dollar. And the longer they can drag it out and the longer they can do tests on him and the longer they can try to prove, insanity or diminished responsibility, they'll just be raking the money in, because they're parasites, the lawyers.
It's just one big feeding system, isn't it? It's so gross. Anyway, okay, let's put up some of your picks. Which one of the aura picks should I put up first?
You can choose any of them, because when I was going through, I'd seen different things. So they're all slightly different, and they've got different stuff in them. So choose whichever one you like. So this is quite an interesting one. This one here, with the way that he is, it is the dark night of the soul. And this happened before he turned 21. And round about his 21st, there were incidents where he split. And you can see there's 2 sets of hands and 2 sets of arms. You can see there's that claw thing that's coming out, that comes out of his body. And then you see his normal hands, which are, the one side is red light, which is an angry light. And the other side is where he's fighting as hard as he can as a very, very young man to try to allow himself to be something, but it's really not winning. Then you have that egg-shaped auric field, which demonstrates that he has not got the protection level. If you have a look at this egg-shaped field, it does not go down to the bottom below the feet and come all the way back up with a full toroidal field, or even with the Merkaba. The Merkaba in this image is not even there. It's gone. So whatever it was that managed to get hold of him, and you can see by these tendrils and these octopus type things going into his mind, plus that solid bar type aspect where his third eye has been shut off and closed completely. So this is part of the substance abuse and misuse, as well as a difference of opinion with others, where he does tend to believe that he's always right, and he gets very angry when people call him out on things. You also see that we've got in the auric field, you've got these little breakaway little pieces that are going, and this is part of the degeneration of energy within him. So he would be getting very tired, but that is where the holes in the aura are starting to be generated. And you can see there's the aspects within the blue and the pink side, which is what he was, and that starts moving outwards towards the outward area. You've got these shards of black, which you can see all the way around the bottom area. So where there's the most anguish, the most anger, the upset, the trauma, and all of that is concentrated on the lower torso, because you have that very big, round, strong energy around the basal chakra, so the red areas going up into the solar plexus, which then is completely confused, because you've got the two energy balls, which is him trying to fight and trying to do stuff, but having no effect at all on whatever is walking with him. And then you get that arched crescent moon type of energy around the solar plexus itself, which is shutting that off. Then moving up towards the heart, he's desperately trying to hold on to his humanity. He's desperately trying to be something that the parents could be proud of. But that is age 21. So this is when he starts losing it, because I think with all of this going on and the orbs and the areas around him, if you look very, very closely at the background, particularly right there, you can see I've put in there some of the demonic energies with the red eyes. That is coming in and showing that there's on both sides, there are these energies. And I've put in about 5 of them, because when I started tuning into him, I picked up between 5 and 7 very strong characters that have got a lot to say. And they are very strongly involved in what his path is, what his soul path is, and where he's going. You've got then the individuals that are on the base with the golden circle, which is part of the energies of the earth, Gaia's energies, holding him as a human that's got lessons, holding him to the ground, trying to ground him. Unfortunately, it's not working. What do you think of this particular image, Shanti?
I fully agree with what you're saying, and what I just would like to add there as well. I picked up that at the age of 4, where you talk about 5 to 7, absolutely. I'm going to say there was something specific that happened around about the age of 4, that darkness entered him. It's like a sheet of darkness that, and I'm going to say that was probably through a traumatic event. But as much as what I would like to believe that this is a similar type Menendez case, you know, I'm questioning that for the simple reason that I feel quite strongly that he came in with this karma. He chose this strongly. It's almost like he chose famous parents because of the connections they could give him in this life. That's what I feel. So he sort of came in with the idea. He was, he wanted parents who were going to be of the best value to him, and who would serve his needs best. And of course, his parents would have had to agree with that contract, and perhaps they did try and help him. I'm still not sure about that, I have to say. I feel like it's a 50-50 thing there as to whether
it is.
But when I look around, when I look around his feet, there's a lot of people standing there. He's got a lot of karmic debts. Actually, this guy's very much indebted karmically. He's got a lot of karmic debts that are unpaid. Debts obviously unpaid. He came in with opportunity to change certain things on his path. And there was a time when it looked like he was and could, because he would fluctuate. Exactly. It's exactly like the two personalities you're saying, the two entities, the two energies. One would take over the other, total bipolar or schizophrenic, whatever, like definitely two parts of him at play from a young age already, for sure. Imaginary friends, living in an alternative realm.
Yeah, this is the start of it. So this is where we see the chickens are coming home to roost, unfortunately. And with the SRA aspect, that very unusual burst energy that I've put at the bottom where the basal chakra is, where all the bits and bobs are, shall we say, will be politically correct to make sure we don't have any words we can't use. But that, and if you have a look at that, you've got coming in from the side, you've got these two structures that are going in, that are holding that big ball of energy towards the body, which shows that he never really moved away from the SRA trauma, which would have caused the split personalities or the multiple personalities disorders, but also it would have shut him off sexually as a human being, because that is closed. So he was also struggling with how he was able to show himself as a full developed man. And he wasn't able to do that because that area stayed in the arrested development side, where his development was stopped at the age of about between 6 and 8. He didn't actually manage to get past that. And the issue has been with that coloring there at the bottom, because he was at that individual level where pleasuring himself or having pleasure done to him by others that should never have done that sort of thing, it changed his outlook on intimacy, intimate activity with others. And he wasn't able to grow past that. So when you see that, you can see that is gone in and it's shut.
Yeah, totally. And it's bizarre. I'm just putting it that the tastes, they are bizarre. But it's a great area of complexity for him, and holds a lot of anger in that area. Blame. Blames a lot. Blames everyone. Cannot take responsibility.
Well, he's just gonna, I think it's because he can't tell the truth about what has happened to him when he was younger. So he knows that a lot of his trauma and his traumatic events are to blame for the way that he is, but he won't face up to that.
Yeah. I think SRA is such a complex topic, and obviously with many survivors on this channel and as viewers as well. There's nothing easy about that type of healing. But I think it's such a fine line as to how do I heal, where do I heal? Let's make that step across to the other side, or I just don't have it in me. There's just something, do you know what I'm saying? It feels like this guy has just not been able to make that step into healing. He keeps falling back on his ass and indulging. He loves indulging. That's his weakness, is indulgence. He's always been indulged. His parents indulged him. Always indulged him. He's indulged. That's the word that cannot stop coming through, as you can probably hear.
Yeah, it's very indulged. And I think also, because where he is in the prison service at the moment, he's been on suicide watch, and he's been in the high observation housing unit, the HOH, where they're waiting for, for tomorrow. But he's got so many eyes on him. When I was looking at him, there were just eyes everywhere. He's very guarded within himself. He's finding it without his substances. He's finding it very difficult to cope, which is why he would prefer to just get out of there and not have to deal with any of it, because I think a lot of those issues are now suddenly coming back, and he's realizing, oh my goodness, this could be my life going forward forever if I don't play my cards right. So it's a very difficult one. So he will be trotted out. I won't be surprised if he's going to be wearing the blue trousers and the yellow jail shirt that we've seen so many people in. But I think that he's also going to have to wear, in some of the facilities, they do have this like a blue smock thing that they put on people that are high risk of self-harm or unaliving themselves. And he's very erratic anyway. His energy's popping all over the place. He just looks like a popcorn machine. But he is definitely where he has that danger around him where he could potentially hurt himself. So I think it's going to be a different kettle of fish tomorrow. And I'm also interested to see tomorrow when he appears. It's just how destabilized he is, because I think he will be.
I think this guy's been hearing voices for a long time and has definitely had that suicidal ideology going on for a very long time. There's more than one entity at play here. It's like they take turns. There's something about music. I feel like music is very good for him. He likes music. He gets lost in music. Kind of goes into a trance, and that's also kind of like how they've been able to program him is through music. He was born gifted, also very gifted. He's gifted. He's got gifts, yes, definitely, but never fully realized that in his potential, because he always sabotages himself.
Oh gosh, yes, he does. And that's all part of the double hands, There's two sets of hands. One that's his own, which he's fighting with and trying to get control back, but too late for that. And then there's that other set of claws at the top. So it's an unusual one. It's not my usual type of image, because I've gone right back to age 21. So did you want to put the next one up? We can see how things have
also
changed.
I want to say, just in a final reflection of this, I also feel like, he's been caught now. When I was saying early on about karmic debts unpaid, it's like that circle around his feet almost, and the figure standing there, and like those roots, it's like, so far and no further.
Exactly.
You have to be accountable now. But if we think about all of this as well, Beverly, this is the time that we are needing to be accountable.
Yeah.
Spiritually. And that's why stuff like this, I think it just became too much for him. He then unalived them, and boom, now everything. It's not just the karma of his parents. That's what I'm seeing, of his unaliving of his parents. It's a whole lot of people, beings. He's not done cool things. He's very dark when it comes to his sexuality, very weird desires. And I mean, I'm not going to go there, I can just see it. But that I can imagine is quite a dark road that he's been traveling down.
Yeah, it's a lot of anger too. But I put the anger in the next. I put the anger in one of the next ones because I wanted to concentrate on the areas around him. This is what we were talking about earlier, which is the ancestral side. So we've got these faceless ancestors around the edges, and that goes into exactly what you were talking about, that there's an ancestral level of shame, and there's an ancestral level of trauma, abuse, but also very definitely being attached to specific groups, and those groups are shown here. The interesting one at the bottom is that the one at the bottom, you've got the demonic creature that has got the roots that is growing out towards the ground, and because he is so stuck and he's attached to the ground and he can't move from that, because the full-on possession has taken place, this thing is going to grow down further, attach him to the earth, and that would mean that they would have a complete control over the sovereign soul as well, which is quite sad. And then you've got this closed off, the complete closed off area across the third eye. So he's actually not able to see the wood for the trees. He doesn't have the level of understanding. And I don't think that he's been blocked from using all of his psychic abilities, his spiritual intuition, and that innocent lad that was there before, which is that light that's going out into the universe. That's his diminished light. It's moving away, it's glowing, it's seeping out of him. And then you have the dark gray area above his head with the top chakra area where this is where the unaliving thoughts are coming from. And this is where he's trying to push his energy body out of his body to get away, not just to get away from taking responsibility, but to get away from the anger, to get away from all these other personalities, as you can see, going around the outside of the ring over there. When you see it all of that is these entities and demonic creatures, as well as other individuals that perhaps haven't moved across successfully, trying to utilize his loosh, his energy, and trying to get him and have some sort of input into what he could do with his life. And we've still got these tendrils coming out of his basal chakra, and it's not the same color as what it was in the previous picture from when the SRA abuse was still quite new. This is where, as you can see, it has created the spider's web of trauma-based SRA, which then fundamentally changes the way that he's able to get satisfaction, but more importantly, what type of satisfaction he requires. And that has changed. What do you think, Shanti?
Yeah, absolutely. I see him as being, obviously, in this one, slightly older than the last one as well. But lost, so lost, so lost. Doesn't know who he is, doesn't know what his name is, like spiritually, that is. He's mind controlled here. His thoughts aren't even his own. it's so bizarre because it's like this kid didn't stand a chance when he was young. It's like, those two energies, Beverly, that you were speaking about coming in, right? And the division. It's like there's been a fight between those two since the beginning. And it's like this poor body, this little kid's body, has been the war ground,
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, I can completely understand that he's feeling suicidal. And he needs to be on suicide watch because that's bigger, more amplified in his mind now than ever before. Definitely. And now that he's in trauma, it's almost like his thoughts are amplifying as well. Everything is amplified at the moment for him.
Yeah, it's not the easiest point of him, but in the next images, it is where we remain hopeful that he will come out and talk about, either in the therapy or in the mental health evaluation or the psych evaluation that he has to go through. We hope that he comes out with details of what has happened to him, what was part of his childhood growing up, and I think there's also a lot of trauma based on emotional trauma. And a lot of that is part of it. And you can see in this particular image, he has grown his energy. This is closer to where he is right now. And we've got, as you can see at the bottom, that really, really dark red. So there was very definitely managed professional abuse of some sort. Don't know what it is, but it definitely included that particular region of the body. You've also got the solar plexus area where you can very clearly see the demonic attachment, because it's holding on for dear life, literally, to the solar plexus, where they always attach to two places, to the solar plexus, and then they go up to the top, to the back of your neck, and they attach to the back of the neck as well. So you've got the solar plexus where the most of the home is, and then you've got the top of the back of the neck, which then if they start trying to remove the individual demons, then the stomach will become a problem, health will become a problem. All of that will be churned up by what we see stuck in the solar plexus. You've also got very little. If you look at what he had previously when he was 21 and prior to 21, if you look at the heart chakra area, there is that rounded light where there was that golden, where he was churning around things. And this is before full possession had taken place. But we've got that circular area, which shows that's about all that's left, which is not a lot really. And then going up his arms, he's managed to, because he's actually attached himself to the earth as part of his grounding, he's managed to get rid of the big hands and claws that were around the outside, because he's pushed it down, he's pushed it down, he's pushed it down into the solar plexus. And that's pretty much where he's left it. They're not allowing that thing to come out and, take him and do whatever he wants to do with him. You've got a lot of the ancestral side, and I have put quite a lot of individuals in there so that we can see that this particular issue is not just from him. This has come from all sorts of other people, and it's come from all of his lifetimes, but he's also carrying some of that from his parents' lifetimes as well, which is exactly what you said. He agreed to that. We see also the aura is split into two. As I said, you've got the one side, which is the blue side, and you've got the other side, which is the pink side. So you've got the two different sides of the being. And the one is the demonic one, and the one on the right is the real soul. So It's just two totally separate areas, which is very interesting to see. He still has, unfortunately, at the top of his head up there, you can still see that he has all of this going on around. He doesn't really have his own mind, and his third eye is still very safely shut. Also got a lot of demonic images. If you look very, very closely to those images, they're pretty scary. And they are all those that are, he's almost like this little shining moth to a flame for these demonic things, and say, well, this is someone where we can get fed, we can, take control, we can, allow ourselves to have some sort of a life. And because of the substances, those that who have passed on to the other side, that were either had substance abuse with alcohol or others, they would find that this particular individual would be very attractive because they were used to that on this 3D plane. And when they see this type of person, they get attracted to it, and they can suck off the loosh on that side too. So there's a lot going on with that.
It's true what Mama Leona says, heart chakra completely missing. And it's true. But what I see there as well, and this to me is like a continuation of the last picture, where in the last one it gave me the sense that he was hollow, empty, hopeless, just a absolute puppet. I feel like the next stage absolutely is all of what you've said. But again, I'm attracted to what's happening in his feet. Yes. So although it looks like lightning bolts almost, to me it also looks like roots.
It is roots.
And it looks kinder than previous. So it's like, okay, buddy, you're not going to be allowed to take your own life. You're not going to be allowed anything. You really have to stand now and take responsibility for what you've done. So you're given an opportunity to tell your side of the story, because all of us now know, or most of us know, that this kind of stuff doesn't just happen out of nowhere.
Exactly.
We've seen the Menendez brothers, child abuse and SRA and CRA or CSA, sorry, are common nowadays. And we psychologically, we are a lot more aware of this than what we were in the days of the Menendez brothers, right? This information was not really as much out there as what it is. But I have to say, also find the timing of this interesting. Not long after the Menendez brothers, they've pretty much not been allowed out, right?
Yeah.
I see something like this again. And that to me was the first thing that I thought about, was that, is this a way that our attention is again being brought to what's happening to children behind the scenes when they are kids by these Hollywood moguls? This guy, when I look at him as well, he's not going anywhere. He's going to be, I feel he's going to be, he's going to be confined. He has to be. But I do feel he's actually going to be met with some kindness in the most inopportune places, almost like if he's in prison or jail, right? He'll probably meet someone there that really understands him. I feel this kid is, I call him a kid. He's not really a kid, but to me, he's a kid.
Right? Yeah, he has arrested development. Yeah, he's stuck in that child cycle. He hasn't moved from it. So I like the fact you're calling him a kid, because although he's 30-something years old, his energy body is not showing that.
And it's so interesting, as I said, that my whole third eye just started itching. And I know that's like from him talking about that shut third eye. I feel like he's getting ready. His spirit is getting ready to face his battles now. He's been running away and hiding, and has been a coward for a long time. But he does need to face his battles now, and I feel like he's getting ready. He has the knowledge, he just has not used it for a very long time.
Very
He
long
actually
time.
sold his knowledge. He actually sold his knowledge. Wait, let me see what they're telling me. He was very clever. He's an old soul, this one. He's been around for a while. And he's very clever because in the beginning, he's greedy and he's lazy.
Mm.
So he kind of sold off parts of himself to get a quick fix. Does that make sense?
That does. And he locked his throat chakra. So if you have a look at the throat,
Yes.
you can see there's a big brown, black, navy, dark donut. It's not that clear on this image, but there is one there. And it's closed off his throat chakra. So he hasn't spoken up. He hasn't spoken his truth. He hasn't come forward with anything. He's just basically, as you say, he's been lazy and he's just gone along for the ride. But it got to the point where that level of anger and anguish and trauma had become way too much. And that's when he retaliated.
He's a real escape artist out of his body.
Mm, mm.
He uses that body really as a launching and a landing pad with all the energies in there. So it's like the body is like, the drop zone, like the airport. And then one entity in, out, another one in, out. That's what I
Revolving
feel.
door.
So he really, yeah, exactly. But he needs to clean, he needs to purify. There's so much gunk in him, like tar and grease and muck and old oil, that kind of really disgusting, back dodgy restaurant, unclean, cockroach running around kind of energy that he's got to purify. A lot of things he feels ashamed about. He's scared to speak about things that he did. Definitely doesn't want to become clean, hides from sad, takes a lot of drugs, escapes, runs away, runs around. Then he's this great big cavalier kind of guy. Then he's the victim and like a screamer, like shouting at everyone. And yeah, he goes through the cycle like crazy. Total. It's like I see, just that ball around him. He just goes round and round and like in a hamster's wheel. And he can't get a grip. And now he has to get a grip. He has to get a grip. So he's been forced. So it's a good thing. He's got to be accountable. But I feel like he's ready now. I feel like he's ready now. Getting ready now. More ready now than what he's ever been. But there's going to be a lot of shit that comes out of the woodwork here. That's what I'm saying.
And I think the other thing I saw, if you have a look at the bottom, there is a picture of a man with a beard, and there are pictures of male individuals in his auric field that are ancestors. So that's either grandparents or great-grandparents. And there is some that would have had a direct connection with him when he was 15 years old. So one of the grandfathers is Carl Reiner. And there was a bit of a connection there between Rob, Carl, and Rob, his father, himself, Nick, and the Carl Reiner. There was a triangular piece that I picked up, and I thought, well, where does this come from? So there was a lot of influence from what Rob thought he should be as his child. And they started pushing their needs and their wants and their desires onto these children, but actually gave them the love and the attention and the discipline that was required to make them into really positive human beings was not there, particularly with the Nick person, because he is suffering from that syndrome of where he is. He's got two other siblings that are particularly keen on fixing their lives, becoming a lot better in their lives. And he was always, out of that triangle, he was always the odd one out. But I think the grandfather has got something to do with it, because I put him in the bottom. He's at the bottom there on the left. There's something to do with that. And I'm not sure how that plays out, but I think that he was told that he was a disappointment and that he was the ugly duckling out of the 3 siblings, because the other 2 had reasonable looks, but he was, the dumpy one, the one that didn't bother with his own personal hygiene, or didn't bother to try to become anything, or watch his weight, or try to become something so that he would be seen in a better light. He was definitely the ugly duckling, and we all know that in Hollywood, ugly ducklings end up on a Peking duck spit, and that's he has been hung out to dry. It's going to be very interesting to see what he reveals. I hope that he reveals the truth, because that will do a great deal of good for all survivors and for everyone in Hollywood that are maybe having to work with and live through the most awful conditions that this young lad would have had from the age of 15. Because when I had a look at his energy body, he had started with substance abuse from the age of 15. So he'd gone through his transition at age 13. He was still trying to fight to be himself, but he lost at age 15.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do we have another image?
Yeah, I think there's
another 2.
Same, is that the same one?
Yeah, that's the same one.
Okay, then we've got 2 of the same, but then I'm going to put this one up so long.
Okay.
Is that the same?
I think no, the second one is not the same, because it's got the black bursts,
right?
So it's not the one on the top; it's the one underneath it. I don't know how that happened. Yeah, so if you have a look in this one, you'll see that this is an expansion on where he's going. So this was literally, I did this one at about 3 hours ago when I was looking at him in the cell. And you can see we've got these black sparks coming off. We can also see that he's got these white tendrils coming out at the back of him. So this tells us that there is something that has entered into his energy field that is trying to pull through some sense of morality, some sense of telling the truth. But again, we see the same thing happening, where he's taking his energies, he's pushing it through all of his chakras, and he's trying to jump out of his skin, literally at the top. So you can see all that energy goes up, and poof, out of the top energies. And you can see that donut shape where he's trying to transition. He's trying to jump out. He's trying to basically get off this planet. Stop the world. I want to get off. That's part of that. And it's very, very strong with him. So I do hope that they put him back on the unaliving watch, because he is in danger of harming himself. What is also key to look at is the auric field, that very large egg shaped that's around him. The battle is now no longer split. So if you look at how small that egg shape was when we started looking at him, to where he's now saying, I am me, I will have my say, I'm still very angry, I don't understand, I feel that I've been biased against, and this is part and parcel of him deciding finally over today, and it will be today that he will decide what he's going to say tomorrow, is he will need to expand that energy field completely to cover all of him. Like we all have that beautiful egg-shaped aura that goes around all of us, and then we have the Merkaba that goes around the edges, which is the protection value. If he can just push it a little bit more to go around his feet, so that the earth that has been holding him and keeping his protection, if he can just extend that a little bit further, he might actually get the courage to be able to open his mouth about the SRA and what has been happening with him, which has caused him to basically have a psychotic break. The parents and the others, and the grandfather again comes up. Can you see on the side? We've got the bearded man, the older one, and the older woman. The grandparents on the background are also there. So there's a lot of unusual connections that he knows about. There's lots of alleged aspects about, Carl pushing for this young lad to be the one that gets moved around, high value individuals that would be able to do things to young lads. There's a lot of allegations out there that don't have evidence. He really is the only one. He is the only one that can come back and provide facts. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It's very interesting. It's like, as you're saying, for a moment, just or space in time, wanting to escape his body, and it's exactly that, But I feel like he's waking up now. This is serious. He's waking up now to the reality. And yes, I mean, I don't know about what the club roast sandwich thing is about. I don't know, Lisa, do you obviously some type of lingo they use? But absolutely allegations about child transportation of his son. And
energy's out of his bottom. Yeah. Look at the energies falling out of his bottom. And if you look at the previous image, we had the demonic individual attaching itself really strongly around the solar plexus. He's managed to push it down, and the only housed area that this entity, the strongest entity of all of them, has is around the basal chakra, where he's blocked him off totally. So he's confined him to that area, which is great. So he has got the spiritual battle. He has got an energy value with these white tendrils coming in from the back. There is some sort of angelic healing, as well as, in a way, a level of forgiveness that needs to take place. But it can only take place once he owns up and he understands what he's done. So, but the good thing is that the light is with him and has actually reached him. It's whether he decides to come clean and whether he decides to allow himself to say the truth. The light is there, but tomorrow I think we will know more. We will know whether he's decided to basically let the cat out of the bag. It's going to be a difficult one.
I think he will. I think he knows what he has to do. And it's interesting that, the grandfather always there as well. I just feel like those grandparents had quite a bit to do with whatever is good. Yeah. Okay, let me see. Which one do we have now? Is that the one? Okay, that was the one on the stage.
Yeah, that was the one on the stage. So let's see. Those two look the same. So it looks like there were two that are the same.
And then there's that one.
I think have we had all 5 now? I think we have.
Yeah. There's that first one.
That's where we started.
Second one.
Mm-hmm.
Third one. No, I don't know if that's the same. You see, that's the fourth one, yeah.
Fourth one with the donuts.
Yeah. And then there's the fifth one. Okay, the fourth and fifth are the same. It looks
the same. Okay.
All right.
So we've got an unusual, once again, an unusual fight between dark and light. And there is that fight where he once again, like he had to when he was 21, he also now has to make the decision. Is he going to come clean and tell his story. And I do think with his energy that it's a 50-50 at the moment, because that purple energy above his head, he would like to tell the truth. He would like to tell the truth and shame the devil. He would like to be able to tell his story without the grandfather and without his father and his mother telling him, you can do this, you can't do that, you can say this, you can't say that.
Yeah.
There is that possibility.
Absolutely. I think while he's in jail, something's gonna start stirring within him, stirring awake. And I do think we're gonna hear more to the story. And of course, it's gonna create a lot of action around this topic. So that's good, because I think the world needs to see that. So I think, if anything, my synopsis here would be that, I do believe he was traumatized. And I think we know what I'm saying when I say that.
Yeah.
Full on possessed, definitely. Total addict. But really has to become accountable now. I don't think he's going to be able to spiritually and physically take his own self right now. And I do feel like he will start talking. And I do think that things are going to start being revealed, and more people are going to start listening to these types of stories now, not like the Menendez brothers, for example. And I'm sure there must be many other situations like this, where the kids of, oh, your poor parents, look what they did for you, especially adopted parents, right? I mean, we hear a lot of stories. I adopted you, I loved you, I treated you as if you were my own. I hate that, for starters. But you'll hear those types of stories where there've been this kid slaying a parent, and then now that we know what we know, this didn't just come from nowhere. The child doesn't turn on you when you've raised it with love and fairness and boundaries. You might get feisty kids. You might get sassy kids. I mean, I look at my family, we're all feisty and sassy, but I'll tell you now, not one of us will be unaliving anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. A kid, you do not act in such an irrational way toward a parent, to that extreme, if there's not more than meets the eye. Sorry.
Yeah, it is a difficult one. He has had, I think he went into rehabilitation up to 20 times. And I think that the substance abuse is the issue, yes, but I think nobody was prepared to dig any deeper into what was really going on in there. There was no early intervention with him. They had 20 times that they addressed the substance abuse and his mental health challenges and looking at his adolescence issues. But he had all these, 20 times, multiple relapses. And there wasn't really an individual care plan put in place for him, from what I can understand. And most importantly is where there's a struggle happening with someone with addiction issues, there was no family support and no compassionate care. Everybody was, dog eat dog, trying to get on to do what they wanted to do to please whoever it was that they needed to please. And none of the treatments that he was given was acceptable to him, because he is still pushing down the secrets that he's holding. He did at some point, I don't know if you remember, there was that commentary where in 2015 he had done sort of like a partial semi-autobiographical film called Being Charlie, which he wrote together with his father, with Rob Reiner. And in there, he was talking about himself and the impact of the addiction that he has on with young adults and also the parent-child relationship. And he actually gave all the inside information and reflected where the challenges were that he as a child were facing. And what was very interesting when I looked at that, I looked at who they chose. The two of them chose a particularly quite good-looking young man to portray him as Charlie. And that's how he was hoping that he would turn out. And he didn't turn out. And that's why he was saddled with, the ugly duckling, or out of the three siblings, he was the ugly duckling. So there's a lot here with him. And I think that he needs to look at where he can go and how he can go. But the most important thing for him is that dark blue area across his third eye. If he can remove that and allow himself, his energies to flow through, and also to that beautiful root system where Gaia is desperately trying to help him. If he can just widen his energy field and allow him to become a whole being and not a partial being, he might stand a chance of becoming a whole person again.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with you there. I do feel there's opportunity for him to heal. But it's a long walk back for him.
Yeah, it's a very long one.
But I do, but I do feel, and there's gonna, he's divisive by nature.
Oh yes.
And I think this whole situation with him is going to divide a lot of people again. A lot of people are going to have different opinions. But I do think this case is going to get quite a bit of airtime, and it's going to highlight situations that need to be highlighted again.
Yes, indeed.
In the way that, for example, the Menendez brothers has started doing. I think this is part of that, waking up.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. Yeah, Romy, of course, the young girl, she's the one that found everything. And when I looked at him, he was happy that she had walked into, the Romy young girl had walked into a huge crime scene, with bodily fluids everywhere. And I don't think she realized that it was her parents. She probably thought it was something else. But she ran out because she had obviously called the paramedics, etc. But unfortunately for her, it was trauma because she was told by the paramedic that it was her parents that were lying there. It was so, messed up, if you like. The whole area was so messed up. She did not know that it was them. And that was the biggest shock for her, which was sad. But he loves that because he thought, well, you know what? Yeah. Now you can feel some of the trauma that I feel.
Feeds off pain, right? That's exactly what these entities do.
Yeah,
they will create, and that's how they're going to feed off pain of the offspring. Yeah. Not offspring like siblings. Yeah, well, the rest of the family. That's what they do. How they do it.
So it's all starting, but I really do hope that he decides to come out with everything, because there's a lot of his influence in his early life. But the early life was shaped by Carl Reiner. So the way that Carl Reiner brought up Rob Reiner, his dad, all of those interactions and the way that things were being put forward, very dark, even though it was comedic, it was dark. And the dynamics did change. And he was the type of person that was able to learn by observing. He wasn't a bookworm. He wasn't someone that could, learn something parrot fashion and then just have it back, say it back. He could only learn through observation. And he was observing his father, the Rob person. But Rob Reiner was directly influenced by Carl Reiner, the grandfather, his father. So it's a very different one.
Very different. And I think we're going to see a lot. But forward to that, actually.
Yeah.
Because I think, very
and
interesting.
I'm hoping really that they bring Rob Reiner's first wife, Penny Marshall. I'm hoping that they bring her to the stand to ask, influential questions, so that, that a lot of the background that's been kept hush, 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 and,
Start
don't do this and
surfacing.
yeah, I'm hoping that it will start surfacing. There's the missing 8 years between the time when Rob Reiner was married to Penny Marshall and then later married Michelle Singer. So his marriage to Penny Marshall ended in 1981. He only married Michelle Singer in 1989. So there was 8 years of backwards and forwards. And during that 8 years, there was a lot of changes, breaking up, making up, going forwards and backwards and all of that. Until eventually they got married in 1989 and then they had their children. But from that point of view, those years in between were types of that was fostering that way in which he wanted to have children, how he wanted to know that his children's development was purely their own souls, their way, with nobody helping to navigate them or giving them any limits or giving them boundaries. So we've got to be careful with this, because there was a monster that was created, and the monster was actually created by the parents.
Yeah. There's certainly, I say give parents a break, because not everything is a parent's fault. But in situations like this, absolutely. I'm sorry, there was the way in which these situations are handled as kids, etc., in these families.
Yeah.
Anyway, I look forward to seeing what the future holds. So any of you all out there have any updates, let us know, and maybe we can take a sneak peek in a couple of weeks again onto this case. Case 007.
It's 007, Nick Reiner. Yeah, well, tomorrow's going to be a good one. We're going to have a look at it and see what they come out with. So I like the fact that his plea has been not guilty. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see how that runs out for you then.
Good. Tell us why you're not guilty.
Yeah. It can only be by cause of by fact that there is diminished responsibility, and that it was one of his alters that did it, or it was a demon that did it, and he didn't do it because he was just sitting on the shoulder. So we've got to wait and see what he comes up with. They're going to have to be creative. There's more than enough money to defend him. Let's face it.
Absolutely.
And, they can pay all sorts of psychological evaluations, and I think they'll do that if that is the route that they're taking, that diminished responsibility brought about by trauma. They're going to have to explain to the judge what was the trauma.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that could get quite juicy, and it could be quite an interesting one, and that'll open the flood doors, because as we know in law, they always go back to all these cases. And I think this could, if we're very lucky, it could be one of the cases that lawyers in the future refer back to say, oh, in the case of Nick Reiner versus the state, this is the plea, this is what happened, this is what was proven. So I think it's going to be a landmark case.
Definitely. And I think also, if we think back to, again, the Menendez brothers 30 years ago, there was 6 women and 6 men in the jury, and every man voted that the boys were guilty, and every woman voted that they were not guilty, because men, it was said afterwards that the men in the jury could not believe that a father or fathers would do that to their own kids. Exactly. Maybe they were in denial, who knows, right? And the woman obviously had that compassion for the kids. Very interesting to understand.
It's quite something.
I mean, as a woman, you understand how your mind, how that can take a path of its own. Not your mind, sorry. but that situation can take a path of its own. Super interesting. So we look forward. Yay. Well, thank you, madam. That was really cool.
It was a different one, a little bit different, and we'll see. The good thing is that, it hasn't been heard in court yet. So we can wait and see, what his changes are. It's choices day today and tomorrow. 7th is a very positive number. It's a very spiritual number. And if he's lucky, he will have spirit that will help him, because nobody is beyond redemption at a soul level. He can still be saved. He can still allow the light to take over, and he can then still go and shame the devil. It's not too late for him to do that. But whether he does or not is another story.
Yeah, I think he will. His life depends on it. His life depends on it, actually. So I think we will hear. And then, of course, do we believe him or not? I look forward to what falls up.
Yeah, maybe we must do a round 2 after of what has changed in this case, so that we can say this is a part 1 today, and then do a part 2 after they've gone through the hearing and after there's been, a jury and whatever, and let's see what comes out. I think his previous, follow the case, do some comments on that, and just say, is he actually going to go out and say anything? Because unfortunately, being groomed as young as he was, and having, age 15 was the first time he was put into rehabilitation. Good Lord. That tells you how bad, what a mess everything was in. But they're always
for him to be in rehab. For him to be in rehab by the age of 15, that kid's been drinking and abusing substances for at least 5 years.
Exactly.
At least
very
5
sad. Years. But then the question is why, and the question is always, it's trauma based, and this is it. But he just needs to get to that point where he decides, is it time for me to tell the truth?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All the signs are pointing to the obvious for us, but hey, who knows? We'll just be devil's advocates.
We will
have to be. The jury's still out on this one.
Yeah, they are.
But my money is on that he will start speaking. And he will start opening.
I think it depends on how extreme his conditioning is. Because even when I started speaking out against my abuser, I was told for years and years and years and years, you don't say anything. If you do say anything, we will unalive your animals. If you do this, then this is what, the retribution will be. And you get told this day after day after day after day. And it is very hard to go against that conditioning. You don't say anything. You keep the secret. You're not allowed to reveal what's happened. Depends on how far he's got with that. If he feels that, you know what, I can't be asked anymore, I'm going to say everything and it'll be the end of me, and that's fine. If he gets to that point, then he can start healing. But it's to get over that barrier of hearing them going tick, 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 tick in your head, saying, you cannot say this, you cannot say it, that is a secret, you're not allowed to say it. That is how it'll be churning through his head all the time. And is he strong enough to go against that?
Well, my feeling is that the fact that they have him on suicide watch, I don't believe that he'll unalive himself. So he has to stay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Now he's either going, and as he gets stronger and healthier, he wants to live, because the psyche is healing. So he wants to live. And if he wants to live, his life depends on whether he speaks about what happened or not.
I think he will be in grave danger, though, from others, knowing full well the type of individuals that he's been, cavorting with, and individuals that, depending on whether or not the allegations around his father are true, if he has been moved here, there, and everywhere to do, what these, youngsters do in Hollywood. Depending on who he was servicing, he could put himself in a lot of danger.
Yeah.
So he could end up unalived in the system because he's shouting his mouth off about things that he should have kept quiet about. So there's a lot of moving parts with this case, and it really does depend with this young lad how much of a risk he's prepared to take.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's pray for truth. That's all.
Pray for truth.
It's obviously a very public case, and it's public for a reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, and if it's anything like the Menendez brothers or many others like that, I'm sure that we have not spoken about, then let justice be served, honestly. And let him go for healing.
Yeah, and let him remember, because, a lot of times, it's another severe trauma to bring those memories to the fore. I mean, I can be a testimony to that. I had, the bang on the Bonson was unconscious. That brought everything to the front. I thought, oh my God, what on earth is this? And ended up, becoming a skinny little scarecrow while I was processing everything, because I just, every time I tried to eat, it would just come back up again. And all these images were coming. So, you never know. This is something that might trigger him to such a point where if he can't remember right now, with the triggering and the trauma, and also self-preservation is huge within sovereign souls, within humans, he might feel that he's got to preserve his own life, and he might decide, well, this is the trauma and this trauma might trigger him to remember. So there's another option.
That's what I'm thinking. Enough of the impact.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, guys and girls. Well, it's 9:00 for me, and as you can see, I'm probably looking a little bit pale and pale.
You need to get some food.
I will see you. Yeah, I actually do. I definitely need to eat. I will see you guys tomorrow, 10:00 in the morning, Australia Roundtable. Look forward to that. And then, of course, Double Trouble with Jessie.
So, lovely.
We will see you then. God bless you all. Take good care of yourselves. And Beverly, thank you so, so much. Is there anything you want to say just in closing?
In closing, if you're interested in sessions, I am opening sessions up again now for this week. And there might even be some really special offers that are going to be put out on the website. So let me know. And if you want some similar aura drawings and images, as well as for your fur babies, for your animals, please let me know, because I will then add that onto my website. It's not there at the moment, but if somebody wants one, I will add an option for that as a service.
Perfect. Yeah, look forward.
Thank you so much.
Okay, everybody.
Nice to see everyone in the chat.
Indeed. God bless. Take good care. And yay, see you tomorrow.
Bye for now.